The first drops of rain were pattering on the roof of the car when Marina stopped it on a deserted forest road. The evening shrouded the area in darkness, and the dense forest around seemed alive, as if it was breathing, watching, waiting. Marina nervously looked at the map on her phone. She had made a wrong turn, and the navigator suggested that she turn back. But she didn't want to go back. Fatigue was creeping up on her, and her eyes were already blinded by the long journey. She was driving to a high school reunion, an event she had been putting off for so long but couldn't miss. Old friends whom she hadn't seen for decades were inviting her to the small town where they spent their youth. It was a strange feeling to go back there after so many years. Marina decisively turned on the headlights at full power and pressed the gas pedal to get back on the highway. But suddenly a figure flashed in the headlights, dark, unclear, as if emerging from the fog that had begun to imperceptibly envelop the car. Marina's heart sank, and she slammed on the brakes. The figure stood by the road, motionless, as if waiting for someone. Marina gripped the steering wheel, wondering what to do. There were no signs of life on this deserted road, and meeting someone here at such an hour seemed strange. But curiosity got the better of her. She slowly lowered the window. "Do you need help?" she shouted into the night. The man didn't answer. He only slowly turned his head in her direction, and Marina was able to make out his face. He was a man of about 40, with a tired and slightly pale face. His clothes were wet, but not shabby, as if he had been here recently. "Do you need to get to the city?" She repeated the question, trying to shout over the growing noise of the rain. "Yes," the man said quietly, finally coming closer. "If it's not too much trouble." Marina nodded nervously. Something was wrong with his presence, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The man got into the back seat, carefully closing the door, and they drove off. The silence between them was becoming unbearable. Marina felt the tension growing. She stole a glance at the man in the rearview mirror, and he immediately caught her gaze. His eyes were strangely dull, as if extinguished, and she felt goosebumps run down her skin. "What's your name?" Marina asked quietly, trying to ease the tension a little. "Alexei," he answered shortly. "Where are you heading?" "To the city. I need to meet someone there." Marina nodded, but her question stopped halfway, as her anxiety grew with each passing minute. The road was getting darker and the headlights didn't seem to be enough to penetrate the growing fog. She glanced quickly at the GPS. The signal was lost. It seemed like they were surrounded by emptiness. "There's an old village not far from here," Alexei suddenly said, breaking the silence. "I can show you a shortcut." Marina frowned. Her GPS didn't show anything like that. But something in Alexei's voice made her feel unsure. "I don't know this area," she tried to talk her way out of it. "It's very close. I go there often." He continued to insist, and at some point Marina gave in. Perhaps a shortcut would be a better option than wandering around in the dark with a lost signal. Alexei directed her toward an old road that she could barely make out in the headlights. It seemed abandoned, but Alexei pointed it out confidently. They turned onto a narrow dirt path. The road became more and more uneven, and Marina had difficulty controlling the car. Tall trees rose up around them, eclipsing the remaining light. It seemed as if they were in some other world, where time and space lost their meaning. A few minutes later, they reached a small village hidden deep in the forest. It looked as if people had left it long ago. Abandoned houses, paths overgrown with grass, not a single light in the windows. Everything here breathed oblivion. "Here?" Marina asked uncertainly. Alexei did not answer. He simply silently got out of the car and headed towards one of the houses. Marina sat in the car, not knowing what to do. But her gaze fell on something in the back pocket of the seat, where Alexei had thrown his jacket. She noticed something strange. Slowly reaching out, she pulled out an old newspaper. On the front page was a photo of a man, that same Alexei, and a headline that made her blood run cold: "Missing in 1998. Marina felt fear grip her and rushed to the car door to run. But as soon as she opened it, Alexei stood before her, his face changed, distorted, no longer human. The world before her eyes began to darken. Whispers came from all sides, and she realized that this was not just a trip to the village. This was a trip to the past that would not let her go back.